My passion is airport to airport.
Airport to airport.
What happens between airports?
What happens between airport?
So you like the flying then, the journey.
Absolutely.
So you like flying then, the journey? Absolutely.
So what about that do you like?
So what about that do you like?
I love airplanes. Do I love airports? Not really.
I love airplane. Do I love airport? Not really.
I when I go to an airport, I go to the window to look at the airplanes.
When I go to the airport, I go to the window to look at the airplane.
Yep. Since the tender age of 5, I've always had this passion for airplanes, and
Since the tender age of 5, I always have the passion for airplane.
my dream was to become an airline pilot.
My dreams were to become an airplane pilot.
So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Have you ever flown an airplane?
have you ever flown an airplane?
Have I ever flown in an airplane?
Not
Have I ever flown in an airplane? Not in an airplane.
in an airplane. Have you ever?
Have you ever
Flown an
an airplane?
I've never flown an airplane.
I never
I've been
flown an airplane.
in
I've been
the flight deck
the flight deck
of an airplane,
of an
of a
airplane.
number of aircraft,
of number of aircraft,
but I've never flown one.
but I never flown one.
So walk us through a trip with Tony. What's
So walk us through a trip with Tony.
going through your mind
What are going through your mind
along the journey from airport to airport?
along a journey from airport to airport?
Well, just like the other souls on board,
Yeah, just like the other souls on board.
I go on, I sit, I buckle my seatbelt, I
I go on, I sit, I buckle my seatbelt,
obey the commands from the cabin crew.
I obey the command from the cabin crew.
I hear the pilots talking over the intercom, but
I hear pilot talking over the intercom, but
I take it another step further. Actually,
I take it another step further. I actually
listen to the details of what the pilots are saying, and
I listen to the detail of what the pilots are saying.
thinking about what's the weather.
I'm thinking about what the weather going to be like.
They're going to be like, what's the weather on the ground? What's
What the weather on the ground.
the surface winds
What the survey wind on the runway.
on the runway? All these things that regular passengers don't think about when they're
All the things that regular passengers don't think about, that they were
sitting in the seat and they're just
sitting in the seat
it's
and
like,
they just like,
Yeah, I certainly
Yeah.
don't think about that. No.
yeah, certainly I don't think about that. No,
I am just probably just relaxing
I am probably just relaxing
and maybe once in a while looking at
and maybe once in a while
the window if I'm privileged and
looking out the window if I'm privileged enough to get a window seat.
enough to get a window seat.
Window seat
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
saying how pretty it is.
and
and just see how pretty it is.
if you're looking out and you say you have a window, a seat just over the wing, you're looking.
If you're looking out, you have the seat. You say you have the seat just over the wing.
Out and you're like, oh, there's the wing.
You're looking out and you're like, oh, there's the wing.
Looks nice,
It's nice,
long.
long,
Okay.
okay.
I don't even think that
But
much.
Well,
Anyway.
I don't even think that much.
Yeah.
At any
But to
rate.
me, I'm looking at the wing.